Hi, everybody. I'm here with Shane Winnings. He is the CEO of Promise Keepers. Thank you so much. Thank you for the work that you're doing. And gosh, this is like, what a time. So what a time to be doing what you're doing. Why did you think it was so important to take this position and start taking this message across the country?
Yeah, I was a traveling preacher for 4 years before that. And when this got offered to me, it seemed like the things in my life that I'd done were pointing to this. I was an Army officer. I went to war. I was a cop. I was a power lifter. So I felt like, on superficial terms, I could relate to a lot of men. And I've served with a lot of men. So to take over a men's ministry just kind of was right up my alley. When I began to really look deeper into it, we are as men called to be the spiritual leaders of the home. And the church at large is very feminized. And we don't see a lot of men stepping up to lead. And then in culture, you have men being emasculated and demonized for being masculine. So I'm like, man, we got to take this on head on. So here.
Well, how does the Bible define masculinity and why is it important for men today?
Well, God named man as the spiritual leader of the home. And so I believe priest, provider, and protector. Those are the three areas that we should be serving in as men. And when we're not, the American family is going to crumble. And so if you look at any instance why there's a single mom or there's, the highest rates of abortion or unwanted pregnancy are because of fathers who weren't there, men not in the picture. He's not being a protector. He's not being a provider. And he's definitely not being a priest. He's not leading his family in the ways of God. And so if we want to restore America, it starts with the family. And if we want to restore the American family, it starts with raising up godly men.
We talk a lot about how the Marxist worldview actually contradicts the biblical worldview. Talk about that.
Yeah, we were set free by God. And so for us to enslave ourselves to another, and really Marxism doesn't work. Anywhere you look around, it's all about power and it's all about control. And it's this fake equality, right? This fake equity. And you see some of these principles come across, even like DEI, it didn't work. These are just tastes of like what we would get if we went into a Marxist nation. And America pushed back against that. And that's because it's not what we were created to do. Like, we want to be governed by someone who truly has our best interest in mind. And Marxism does not look out for the people. And so it can't be from God.
How are you training guys to accept a biblical worldview within our contemporary society?
Yeah, that's huge because, even a lot of pastors don't hold a biblical worldview, according to a Barna study. So it's like, man, if it doesn't start with the person who's supposed to be teaching you the Bible, how do we expect the men of our nation to have that biblical?
But also, how are they falling short? Where do you think they're falling short?
Well, they don't want to dig into the word in some areas. They don't want to speak to things that are uncomfortable. But Jesus never did anything to not offend anyone. In fact, he's the person who came and said, I'm going to divide your family. Like, the truth is coming like a sword, bone from marrow, soul from spirit. I'm going to pit families against each other because I'm going to lay the truth down, and you got to decide where you fall. And there's a lot of pastors that if you were to tell them that, they're like, oh no, I don't want people leaving the church and whatever. So we're not equipping people. And so we've got a lukewarm church. We have a lazy church. And that's why they're not engaging with the culture. And that's why I was thankful but shocked that Trump got reelected, because all the numbers were showing that the church has been kind of taking a back seat because we don't want to be in politics. And that's a cop-out.
Is that actually, what do you say to the people that say that the Bible and politics actually shouldn't mix?
Yeah, I'd say you never read it. The Old Testament is, a majority political book. It's a book about how to govern. It is an introduction of the law. It is about kings and rulers. And if we think about it like this, politics is the highest form of love because it's loving people and caring for people from a macro level. So like, you're okay with family rules and house rules. You're okay with your job having rules. You're okay with an HOA. But when it's
So I'm okay with my...
HOA. But national governance, we're like, oh, well, the church should be involved. It's like, where do you get that from? If we're not involved in politics, politics wants to be involved in us. And so if Christians aren't involved, then only people who don't follow Christ are going to be involved. And again, we're seeing greed, power, control, manipulation, deception. These are not fruits of the Spirit. We need Christians in there. And I'm thankful that this administration's filled with a bunch of them.
Well, as a CEO of an organization, what does the next 3 to 5 years look like for Promise Keepers?
Yeah, we're doing college tours, so we need to raise up strong young men on campuses around the nation. We're doing men's conferences. That's what we're known for, really. You know, these equipping conferences that get guys excited to follow Christ out loud. You know, we don't need secret agent Christians. We need guys that are like bold about their faith. And then we've got a lot of stuff going on digitally. So we've got like a weekly Zoom Bible study. We've got a podcast. We have an app coming. So it's a really great time.
At what age can men, young boys start to get involved in the work that you guys are doing?
Yeah, it's a good question. You know, obviously on social media as young as they're using it. I mean, get involved with our posting and the podcast and stuff like that. Conferences, traditionally you'll have dads bringing their kid. But I'd imagine, you know, a teenager could roll to one. If you can go to a concert, you can come to a Christian event. And then the college ministry will be geared towards them.
What type of censorship or suppression have you guys experienced in trying to get your message out on some of these big tech platforms?
You know what? On big tech, we haven't had much censorship. Our censorship has come from churches and Christian universities. We were going to hold an event 2 years ago at Belmont University, which is supposedly a Christian university. And we made a statement during Pride Month that, you know, God created male and female because he did, and that's it. And they canceled our event. We had a contract and everything. They pulled the contract. So it's like, Mark Zuckerberg will let me talk about Promise Keepers, but Belmont University won't.
Interesting.
So that's been a lot of the pushback is the churches, again, who don't want to be associated with Trumpers or whatever. And it's like, dude, I'm not loyal to a man or a party. I'm loyal to God. And because of my biblical values, I vote a certain way in this election and went to Trump. And there's people that just, they can't differentiate a personality from policy. And they're the ones paying the price. I'm grateful. So
Interesting. So where can people follow you and follow Promise Keepers across social media?
yeah, I'm on all social media. Search my name, Shane Winnings, and then promisekeepers.org.
Are you back on Parler? We are uncancelable now. We own our own private cloud. We got to get you guys over there because definitely this message is going to resonate. And in case big tech ever decides to censor you, you've got a home and power where you know that you're not ever going to be canceled. So I want to leave you with the last final word to the audience. What is the message that you want them to take away?
Yeah, they just need to know that it's okay for men to be men. We need men that are aggressive. We need men that are go-getters. We need that type A, but it's rooted in love. And it's not fake love. It's the love of God. You know, meekness is not weakness. Meekness is ultimate power under ultimate control. And so we need these guys out there like Daniel Penny, who's like, man, I could step in and do what needs to be done. I don't want to do it, but I want to be a protector. And when we start seeing men step up and say, look, I will stand for what's right and push against evil no matter the cost, that's when America will flourish. That's what we're about.
Absolutely. So much for your time. It was great having you on the show, and thank you so much for what you're doing. We'll be back with more interviews shortly.